What's up, people? What's up, people? Alright, I have decided to make a little bit of a change in my format. I'm going to be doing more live streams, more Q&As. I'm going to tell you why. I enjoy them more. And I've been kind of struggling on what videos to do. I mean, I'll still do videos. I'm just not going to do as many of them. So, while we're waiting for people to join in, I'm going to... I want to clarify what the occult is. Because a lot of New Agers, when they hear occult, it's evil. It's summoning demons. I want to clarify again, what the occult is actually hidden knowledge. It translates to the mysteries, or hidden knowledge. And the knowledge isn't truly being hidden on purpose. You know, some groups do, but the truth of the matter is it's around us everywhere. Everywhere you look is the mysteries. Everywhere you look are the keys to the mysteries. They're all around us. It's just that you cannot see them. So the occult isn't really, all about Satanism, summoning demons, the evil, left-hand path, whatever you want to call it. What it really is just another way of studying the path. And I've done a couple of really good videos on the path. So if you guys want to take a look in on lessons and some of my past videos, I think you're going to find them pretty interesting. Alright, let's see. What do we got here? We have nobody watching yet. I'm probably doing this too early. Let me check chat. Alright, we got one person that came in. Hello, who came in? I'm doing a Q&A on psychic powers, the spiritual path, the occult, and esoteric knowledge. And also questions on past videos that I put out. So, if you all have questions, feel free to kick them in. Alright. I want to clarify something. A lot of people try to get into the spiritual path, or they want to follow the spiritual path because they want to develop psychic abilities. And it really doesn't matter what reason that you use for following the path or joining the path, or another way to put it, taking the path, is to gain powers or gain abilities. I don't even know if I should be doing this stream today. Mentally, I'm just not all here. I've been personally going through some changes myself. In fact, I think I'm going to make this the actual subject of the video. And you guys can ask questions if you want. My wisdom aspect, I've talked about the wisdom aspect. I've talked about the calculating aspect of the mind. And I keep wanting to go back to this. When you practice the great works, or when you follow the spiritual path, you're going to have points along the path where you have an epiphany, or you are ready to do a growth. In other words, grow beyond what you currently see. It's a breakdown of your paradigm. And these are called growth segments, or they're growth periods. During those periods, you are realigning your paradigm. You're realigning what you believe. You're realigning all of the labels that you placed on things. And you're reordering them. Generally speaking, you go into reclusion during that time because you need that time to be able to really focus on what it is that you now believe from an epiphany or from a realization. The path is all about realizations. Every time you have a realization, guess what? You have just gained more power. Your awareness has expanded. It's all about expanding your awareness to be able to take in the multidimensional nature of reality. So, when you do have that, what occurs is, and especially if you're doing the first 2 points along the path, okay, I'm going to focus on those. When you're doing that, your ego is going to jump up, and it's going to say, no, I'm crazy. No, this can't be true. Nobody believes this. You're going crazy. That's your ego attempting to reassert its dominance over yourself. Oh, wait a minute. Gilman has a question. Oh, that's because you're listening to my show. Gilman says, I've been having a lot more synchronicities lately. Anyone else? That's because you're listening to the show. And I'm getting you to focus on the things that are important. What'll end up happening is those synchronicities are going to come together and you're going to gain an epiphany. And that epiphany is going to broaden your view. There's a saying in the East, and that is, the mind is not going to be able to accept something as part of its reality until it's exposed to the possibility of something different. Oh no, no Merck says it's his curse. No, it's not a curse. It's actually one of the most beautiful things that you can experience. They're uncomfortable when you have an epiphany, when enough synchronicities come together to where you say, wait a minute, this is happening too many times, it has to be true. There has to be something to this. You then end up having an epiphany. Think of synchronicities as kind of like building up a charge for a big explosion. Nothing ever changes in this world without an upheaval. You know, a river doesn't change its course without an upheaval, and we don't change how we think or do things without an upheaval. So I'll answer questions as I kind of ramble on about my story. And guys, feel free to ask questions. I mean, I'm really going to do this more in a Q&A format. I really am. And I'm going to tell you why. I actually enjoy the Q&A format better than I enjoy the lecture format. I kind of suck at both, but you know what? Nomerk says, bye. I do not need it any stronger. Yeah, dreams that come true. No, bye. Oh, did you drop? Well, I hope you didn't leave. You're going through, Nomerk right now is going through that stage where his ego is now getting in the way. His ego is wanting to control. And that's what your ego wants to, especially along the first 2 points of the path. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Here's the good part. If you can make it into the light, if you can make it out of the darkness and in past the veil and into the light, those fears go away. There's a diminishing of your ego or diminishing of your fears. For instance, I now hardly ever think I'm crazy. I mean, I never do. It doesn't even dawn on me. And before I crossed the veil to the other side, I used to think I was crazy all the time. In fact, I was positive I was crazy. That was my ego fighting back. That was my ego wanting to retain its power. I brought this up before. For the average man, the calculating aspect of the mind is in control, which is controlled by the ego. And the way that you really want it to be is you want to have your wisdom aspect in control. But your wisdom aspect, to follow that, takes a leap of faith. Sam Smith says, okay, I believe this is all BS. No, that's okay, cool. But that's okay, remember, the mind only can accept something that it hasn't seen before until it sees it. And then it becomes a possibility. So even if you think it's all BS, that's okay. You're hearing it, which means maybe 10 years from now, maybe 5 years, maybe 15, maybe in a month from now, something will happen. You'll have a synchronicity. It'll click. Excuse me, my asthma's acting up a little bit today. And he continues, though. But I have an open mind. What evidence is there? I'm a man of science. Hi, S. Smith. Be sure to watch his Yeah, when I'm talking about spirituality, the occult, the nature of the mind and the nature of reality, you can ask the guys in that come to the channel a lot. I relate that to things that happen in your life. So if it's making enough sense, if it's clicking enough times, then you're going to say, okay, there's something to this. But I try very hard to stay away from labels. Guys, part of what the problem with the occult and the spiritual path, and even religion, any of the esoteric studies is this. People have spent so much time, shall we say, deitizing it, making it divine, making it like it's something beyond your reach, whereas actually it's not. It is in the reach of every single person. Every person on this planet, it may be a next life, it may be several lives from now, it doesn't matter. Every person on this planet is going to go to the other side of the veil. They will be able to, if you want to call it ascend, I hate these terminologies, but it's a birthing process. It happens. If I'm pregnant, if I'm a woman and I'm pregnant, somewhere around 9 months, okay, give or take a month or two, I'm going to have a baby, no matter what I believe or what I think along the way. It's the same when it comes to our spirit, or it's the same when it comes to us, who we are. Every time we take a life, every experience that we have cleanses the higher self, or prepares the higher self to be able to move to, uh, God, I hate using the word enlightenment because there's so many labels to it. But it kind of is. It's a broadening of your awareness to where you can now survive on the other side of the veil. Is that making more sense? It says H.S. Smith, be sure to watch his previous videos. I really recommend that also. Or just kind of kick back and laugh at me. That's fine too. Say, oh man, these guys are crazy. That's fine. Gilman, it's okay to, again, that's normal. If you're focusing on following the path and your awareness is expanding, it is normal to feel crazy. It is normal. So which is kind of funny. You're being normal and feeling crazy because you don't feel normal. The path's scary, guys. And you pick up psychic abilities. I kind of want to bring that up too. Psychic abilities are actually a byproduct of the path. Remember, every time you have a realization or an epiphany, what happens is your awareness expands. Your connection to everything expands, which means that you now have more psychic abilities. You'll be able to sense things that are going to happen. You'll be able to sense things that are maybe coming to be. Yeah, it's too bad no Merc left. Yeah. No Merc, you still here? I actually had some good stuff for you. I was going to talk to you about some stuff. All right. Gilman says, Smith, being skeptical is great. It's great to be unbiased when researching. It's also good to also have an open mind. You are definitely on the right track. Gilman, you're absolutely right. If you guys want to progress and you want to expand your awareness, there's a key to doing this. It's called question everything. One, watch your own mind. Watch your mind. You develop the watcher when you do that. It's one of the few things that you create on purpose as far as your personality goes, or your empath, or your personality aspects. But question everything. And if you really want an epiphany, question your own questions, such as, where did this question come from? Why did I ask this question? So what is my paradigm right now that I'm asking this question? You see, this kicks in the wisdom aspect of the mind, because the calculating aspect of the mind can't go there, can't really go there, but your wisdom aspect can go there. So it kicks that in, which means that you can probably move towards an epiphany. All epiphanies come from the wisdom aspect of the mind. What it is your wisdom aspect, when you have an epiphany, is like having an orgasm. Oh my God, he got it! He finally listened. It's a burst of power that comes off. And again, remember, epiphanies bring two things if you want to know if you're having a true epiphany. The first thing is it's going to bring a sense of power because you now see reality. The second thing is you're going to have a bit of fear. You're going to feel fear. Fear of what your knowledge is. Fear that it's going to change who you are. Which is kind of funny. People want to change, but they want to change the way that they want to change. Which is really kind of funny. Let's see. Being skeptical is great. Sam says, I'll never call people crazy. We love on a blue dot that I happen to be placed on. Why should anything be logical? True. Good answer. Gilman says, my empath abilities only showed up after my tinkering with witchcraft. I feel like it's a punishment from Satan. Well, let me ask you a question, Gilman. When you started picking up empathy and you were doing Wicca, I'll bet you had a couple of epiphanies. And I'll bet you that you went through, and again, don't say this only because I'm saying it. Disagree with me if I'm wrong. Be honest. And I'll bet you went through a period of reclusion where you were trying to sort out that epiphany and try to figure it out. And generally speaking, when you're doing a major shift in your energy, you're going to also probably have physical discomfort. A lot of times you'll end up sleeping a lot. That's normal. Sleeping a lot when you're going through that. The other one is emotional switches or emotional highs and lows, even periods of depression. Okay, so how did you get empathy out of being attacked by a demon in your own home? Remember, you're making that assumption that you were attacked by a demon because that's your perception at this particular time. May not have been a demon. Remember, one man's destroying demon is another man's avenging angel. Oh no, then you weren't attacked by a demon. Now, you would. Okay, here. Let me continue this. You see, I was right. You had an energy shift, and let me tell you what happened. Let me ask you a question. When you were attacked by that demon, did you kind of feel like you were on fire at any particular time? Or did you have a feeling of like electricity, a hum going through your whole body that may have lasted up to maybe 5 or 10 minutes? Just curious. But anyways, Gilman says, I was attacked by a demon in my own home. I don't call that an epiphany. Yes, I slept a lot. That's normal. Probably every 3 hours you get tired and want to go to sleep again. That's because your higher self needs your awareness to readjust its reality. So that's normal. When you go to sleep at night, the theory is that information that you've retained or that you experienced during the day moves from your temporary memory to your long-term memory. The same thing happens when you sleep. Your experiences of this world also move to your higher self. So that's why you sleep a lot. And also, your higher self needs that energy to be able to create a new epiphany. You're basically creating a new paradigm. And that takes a lot of energy. That's the reason that you feel drained a lot. Okay, why do you still think it's a demon if it was large and black? Aha, perfect. Did it end up burning throughout your whole body at some time? And did it last about 5 to 10 minutes, that burn? All right, Sam, I'll get to you in a minute again. That was a good question, and I want to kind of finish up with Gilman here. Yeah, hot flashes. Okay, when you have a kundalini rising, or if you have an energy shift, it depends on what element that you connect to. For me, it was electrical feelings. Okay, tinglings all over the body. That was for me. And I'm going to give you guys a story here in a second that you might want to hear. And I think Gilman's probably going to be able to relate to it. Okay, so it started since September. Okay, good. All right. Let me do Sam, and then I'm going to tell you a story, Gilman, that might make you feel a little bit better. Yeah, that's correct, Steve. Your world is actually what you think it is. It really is. It's an illusion. It's what you think it is. And the goal of psychic abilities, the spiritual path, expanding your awareness, is to be able to expand it enough to where you're moving out of your own illusions and you're seeing reality. All right. So, if you guys look in one of my videos, I talked about how I was given a choice between the mundane and the spiritual path, or the path, the great works, whatever you want to call it. And I, of course, this is going 40 years later, and I look back, I definitely chose the path of knowledge. But nothing really happened much. I mean, I've always been intuitive, that was normal. Nothing really happened until I was about 25 years old. At the age of 25, I was really trying to learn, and this almost always happens when you're doing an intense study into the esoteric. It could be, again, any psychic ability, the mysteries. It could be Wicca. A Wicca would be another catalyst. It could be anything. Remember I discussed earlier, when you focus on something spiritual or something along the path, we're all connected by a matrix. And once you have enough focus and once you have enough intent, you're going to send off a flare. And there are beings out there that monitor the matrix, that monitor it. And they will sense that flare when it's the right time. And they will come to you. And they will begin you on that path. So, I was laying in bed. And I'd been really trying to do astral projection for quite a while. And I hadn't had a whole lot of success. A little bit, but not a whole lot. And one morning, I was laying in bed, and I came awake, and I was at that stage, you know, where you're paralyzed. But I was able to open my eyes. And I looked all around me, and I was wrapped in these different layers of cocoons. You know, like a cocoon, but it was made out of a web, you know, like webbing. It was almost like I was tied up in a web. And I was like, oh shit, okay, I don't like this. I can't move. What the hell's going on? For whatever reason, I didn't panic. But I definitely was not comfortable. And then at the very end of the web, I saw a really big-ass spider, big black spider. And I noticed he was starting to weave his way through the web. Because it was kind of, remember, it was in layers. So he'd find an opening and he'd go one layer down. Then he'd find an opening and go another layer down. And then he'd find another opening until finally he hit my point of the dot, until he made it to me. Well, he went to the area of what's called in Taoism the Dantian. And again, I didn't know this at the time. I didn't even know about chakras at the time. Dantian's located approximately where the second chakra is for those that are into chakras. So he gets to my Dantian, and I remember he took one look at me. It's like he looked up at me, looked at me right in the eyes, and it's almost as if he smiled. He lifted up his ass and jammed his stinger in me, right into my Dantian, my second chakra. And I still remember to this day, when he did it, it wasn't like there was a pain. And it wasn't like a burning or a fire, you know, like what you'd normally feel when you get stung. You know, everybody's been stung at least once or twice by an ant, okay? It's kind of a burning, uncomfortable feeling. It was a huge ass electrical shock. I mean, I swear, it was like I put my finger into a light socket and my toe at the same time, because it was evenly distributed throughout throughout my entire body. And that lasted in the dream for a couple, 3 or 4 seconds, and then I woke up. And then, of course, I'm waking up and I'm thinking, hey, this will stop now. You know, I'm awake, right? It was all a dream. Oh, no, man. It was still going through my body. It lasted for easily a good 5 to 10 minutes after it occurred. And I'm not going to say this happens to everybody, but it happens to quite a few. When it's time for them to really take a move, or it's time for them to get enough power to be able to move forward, one of the powers that be will come to you and help you along the path. I'm kind of giving this to Gilman so he knows that he's not alone. And if you were to just hear my dream, you would think that it was what? A demon that came to me. You would think that that was a demon. But actually it wasn't. What it was doing was kick-starting me along the path. A few weeks later, I was introduced to a guide teacher that started teaching me about the nature of the mind and the reality in my dreams. And that continued all the way until this particular entity took me to the other side of the veil. And I'll talk about that someday, on how to get to the other side of the veil and the entities that help you get there. But again, Sam, part of what you're going to have to, there's a few things that you have to accept, and one is to be able to follow the channel, or at least meditate on, is that our consciousness, our awareness is multidimensional in nature. And I look at our multidimensional nature as a whole. I think in multidimensional. So does that kind of help you a little bit, Gilman? That's why I'm saying, are you sure it was a demon? Especially if you've now been having epiphanies, if your energy's been shifting around. So anyways, this has been happening to Gilman since September. Steve says, Gilman, think of it as your world is as you think. Already said that. Gilman says, I had to consult with 2 psychics. They both told me I have a guardian angel plus 2 demons in my house. One disguised as a Native American spirit. I hope you didn't give them a lot of money. Look, there's no such thing as guardian angels, okay? You have you have managers, and they're not actually angels. They're just more advanced beings. And what their job is to make sure that you follow your destiny. Make sure you follow your dharma. There's also really, in a sense, no such thing as demons. There are personality aspects. The only thing that can really be considered a demon in reality, okay, in this reality, is your ego. And if you think about it, your ego fits the perfect description of a demon. It actually sometimes finds joy in torturing others, doesn't it? Although it'll make it out like it's a joke, but you're actually torturing the person. But you're doing a joke. All children love to pull the wings off of flies. Think about it. If you do something socially unacceptable, or you make a mistake, who abuses you the most? Your own ego. You abuse yourself. Oh, that was the stupidest thing to do. Now everybody's going to think that you're this, and this. It's gonna torture you with guilt. It's going to torture you with social, that you didn't follow the social order. That you're not, that your sense of importance didn't expand. That it cost it some importance within your group, and it really doesn't like doing that. One of these days, meditate on the ego and a demon, and the description of what a demon is. So anyways, I don't mean to laugh at you, but that's okay. Demons in my house, one disguised as a Native American spirit. Then once in a Facebook chat room with witches, some foreign guy started shouting at me about Indians. I didn't know what he was talking about until the psychic consult. Okay. Hey, Christopher's here. What's up, Christopher? Well, remember, everybody speaks in their own paradigm. That's the paradigm that they have. That doesn't mean that you have to accept that paradigm. Personally, I think you should accept a little bit broader of a paradigm than angels and demons. And, to be quite honest with you, why in the hell would they want to stalk you to begin with? Think about that. Why? Take your soul? They can't. A lot of times when people are saying that, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but really, if you think about it, why? What possible thing can they gain from it? Gilman says, once my phone started typing in that chat room on its own. Typing what looked like gibberish. I got thrown out. The owner said I was typing in backwards Latin. Steve, are you referring to what I was saying about the ego? And how it punishes us? Well, they are. Again, the only thing that can be considered a demon is an ego. I think what you're doing is you're externalizing your internal. Yeah, well, Steve, I think that that's a horrible practice that we do on ourselves, and it's an abuse of our body. And I think that our ego takes joy in it. Again, I'm just saying that if you take a look at a lot of the things that your ego wants to do, or a lot of your impulses and a lot of your thoughts that come from the ego, you'll probably find that a lot of them are hurtful. And again, I'm not saying that we don't have compassionate thoughts also, and compassionate. I'm just saying. And generally compassionate thoughts along those lines usually come from the wisdom aspect. Like when we're calculating out what our goal and what we want, we really don't care who we hurt along the way. In fact, we'll even justify it and say, hey, it's just business. Won't we? We'll justify. The ego can justify anything that it does. Oh yeah, Sam asked, in your opinion, do animals have spirituality and psychic ability? Yeah, I'm going to have to say yes. And I'm going to tell you why. I've had a whole lot of dogs in my life. And most of my dogs I've kept for years. And every one of them, after they died, it was probably between 3 and 6 months later, they came to me in a dream. And they were letting me know that they were going to be incarnated again. And they wanted to know, they wanted my approval. I think that they felt guilty that they died and left me behind. And I think that they, just like humans, I mean, if you talk to somebody that's about to die, they're not worried about themselves. They're worried about the impact that they have on their loved ones. And our dogs and cats, they love us, for sure. They love us. It's already been proven, that they put out a chemical that only occurs when you feel the emotion of love. They actually put out more of that chemical per pound than humans do when they're seeing a loved one that they haven't seen for quite a while. So they do feel love, which means that they probably also feel the same way as a person that's dying. They're worried about who they're leaving behind and the pain that they're going to have to go through. Every one of my dogs came to me in a dream to make sure I was okay and that I wasn't mad at them, that I was approval of them. I never seen them again in a dream. It's generally only once. Well, I mean, I'll see, it's like a memory dream, but anyways, it's different. It's not a true dream. It doesn't feel as if it's alive. So, yeah, I believe that there is. As a matter of fact, if you really want to follow karma, and if you really want to take a look at the law of reincarnation and Darwinism, remember, as above, so below. There's a school of thought that believes, I can't confirm this, but this makes sense to me. In other words, it's not something that I've seen. I'll tell you guys, if I've seen something, I'll tell you I've seen it. If I haven't seen it, I'll tell you it's my conjecture. But I believe that there's different soul groups that go through the human experience until they all move on into the light or into the next dimension or into the realm of light, if you want to call it that, or across the veil. And once that happens, we have all of these human bodies still running around. Well, another soul group, perhaps it's the dog soul group, will then move into the position of starting to incarnate into the human form. Is that making more sense? Now, we'll also have now openings for spirits within the dog. A lower developed body, shall we call it a body, will then now have the opportunity of its soul group to start incarnating into the body of a dog. You have to, I don't know if you saw my video. My nose is even running now. I wonder if I'm getting a cold. If you saw my video where I lost my train of thought. Never mind. Anybody remember what I was talking about? Yeah, Steve says, oh yeah, I know, I'm with you, brother. He's responding to my statement that if he's following what I'm saying about how abusive the ego can be. Christopher Collins says, any tests for true motives of being you might recommend? Oh, okay. You're talking about an entity that you might encounter in a dream or a vision, correct, Christopher? Is that what you're talking about? Remember, guys, we're on a little bit of a delay, so when I ask people a question, the best thing to do is if you're going to listen to my live stream, go grab a cup of coffee. Have nothing to do for a little while. Relax. Figure that you're going to take your time doing this. I might have to redo this video into a lower format. That way my upstream's a little bit faster. All right, well, while Christopher's answering my question, yeah, okay, an entity. Whew, we're having a long delay. That's like 30 seconds, easy. Whew, that's a long one. All right, I'm going to cover that. Everybody wants to know about entities on the other side. And I don't blame you. Because in a way, they're probably kind of the scariest. All right. 15-second delay. Yeah, hello, Black Math. Nice to meet you. I'm glad you found the channel. People tend to get worried about evil entities, and they want to know about good entities. In fact, they want to know about entities, period. Let me see, what's the best way to put this? You cannot be possessed by an evil demon that is going to change your destiny. It can't happen. All right, let me explain. Remember I told you that you have managers? And those managers' job is to make sure that you fulfill your destiny. Now, they're generally termed as guardian angels, and I don't like that term because there's too many labels on it. They really don't interfere in your life per se. But they are very powerful. I've met them. I've met some. They're extremely powerful. And if they can't take on an entity that wants to change your destiny, or change the destiny that that entity created. Remember, when a life is about to be born, these entities are strong enough to be able to see what your life path is going to be. Okay? And it's going to use the matrix to match up that life path with the best soul to where both get growth. The best fit. So it sends out an intent to search for, through the matrix, or through that interconnectedness that we all have, for a soul that will fit that life. And what will happen is a flare will go up. Again, when a connection is made on the matrix, it's almost like a quick awareness. It's almost like, it's a feeling like, you ever had your back to somebody and you can feel somebody staring at you? You know that feeling that you get? Well, you feel a certain spot on the matrix, which is similar to that. And what they will do is they will then go to that flare or that feeling, and they will try to match up that soul with that life. Now, I know it sounds simple, but there's a lot more that goes to it. A lot more that goes to it. So, I can guarantee you that any demon, evil spirit, malevolent spirit, who tries to take over and change your destiny have no chance. One, they're not going to beat these managers. They're not. And let's say that it's Satan himself, okay? Again, I'm being facetious, but let's say, and I know I'm using a bad label, but let's say I'm trying to emphasize this point. Let's say it's Satan himself wanting to take over your body. Well, if she can't take it, and by the way, the majority of these guys are female. The majority of entities in the dark side of the realm, in the dark realm, on this side of the veil, are female, just to let you know. The majority on the other side are male. But if she can't beat him, then she's going to be calling her homies. And she will call somebody who can beat it. The law of the other side, okay? The law of these entities. And in fact, they've even termed it this way in religion: thy will be done. Once somebody is written to the matrix, or their life is written into that matrix, okay, it's set in stone. And every powerful entity on the other side will do whatever it takes to make sure that that destiny occurs. So either one of two things are happening. One is your mind is trying to associate these entities in such a way, and your psychic friends, whatever, doesn't really matter, are trying to associate this experience in a way that they can process from their past experiences and from what they know. It doesn't mean that they know everything. It can only be what they know. And it's the same with me. I don't know who those entities are, and I'm not even going to try to tell you. I'd have to go and see for myself, and then I could tell you. But if they are, let's say if they are actually evil spirits, demons, malevolent, whatever you want to call it, they have evil intentions. Well, if it's happening, that means that it was part of your destiny, and you will grow from it. Is this making more sense? Steve says, what? I thought there was no male or female. No, you still have the male aspect and the female aspect. You have to have that duality. You're thinking in terms of angels. What they say is angels are not male or female, or what we term as angels. I hate to use that label because it's pretty incorrect. It brings up a lot of too many images within the mind and too many preconceptions which are incorrect. But no, yeah, no, there's male and female, without a doubt. I can tell you that without a doubt. And I can also tell you that this side of the veil. Remember, I did a video on how our reality is sectioned out into 3 sections. You have the Earth. Outside of the Earth, next dimension up would be the dark dimension or dimension of darkness. Darkness not meaning evil, although it's not as nice as the dimension of light. Separating the dimension of darkness is the veil, and then on the other side of the veil is the dimension of light, where everything tends to be lit up. Scenes and stuff in the realm of darkness tend to be night scenes or dark scenes. But yeah, most all of the entities. Think about it. Mother Earth. The moon is almost always brought up in a female terminology. When we're talking about deities generally of the Earth realm and the realm of darkness, we're almost always using female terms. Earth is Gaia, it's a female aspect. Then there's the mother of everything that gave birth to everything from the father, in one form or another. So, yeah, this particular realm, is mostly controlled by women. Meaning the dark realm, next realm up. Yeah, no, the moon is Luna, but that's okay, that's female. Again, it's another female aspect. It's always referred to as a female. Remember, ships and vessels are almost always referred to as a female. Yeah, it's, if you think about it, just spend some time. Does that kind of answer your question there? What was it, Steve that asked? Where were we? Steve. Now, well, again, Gilman, if you're experiencing it, Gilman says mine is apparently keeping me alive. We're talking about those entities again. If I were you, unless you're enjoying having them around, stop thinking about them. If you notice them, just ignore them. Whatever we focus on, we give power to, and that includes our thoughts, and that includes our belief. The more we focus on our thoughts and belief, the more we empower what's currently already there. Well, I mean, don't take my word for it, Steve. I need to I'll probably do a video on it, on how to dream and how to have visions. So, yeah, you guys can go see it for yourself. But no, it's mostly females. It really is. The beings that take you to the other side of the veil, once you're ready, once you've been purified enough, that take you to the other side of the veil, they're almost all female. And they're kind of like trainer conductors. They will... Here, all right, another dream I had. another contact I've had with entities. So, I was laying in bed, and all of a sudden I came to in my dream, awake in my dream, which you can now call a vision. Okay, and in the past I used to call them visions. So, I'll use the term vision, all right? Right, well, stop focusing on those. Gilman says, I ignore my entities. Ignoring it gives it no power. Right, well, don't even acknowledge their existence. Right now, acknowledging their existence is giving them power. Just understand that right now, you're going through an energy shift. Okay, let's go back to the original reason that you brought this up. You're going through an energy shift. And once your energy stabilizes in your new paradigm, in your new worldview, and you can now accept and hold that energy that you have, the sleepiness will go away. Your energy will come back, and you'll feel more normal, but you'll think differently. That's a better way to put it. And you'll start preparing to do the next epiphany, so you can climb your way up through the top. Remember, guys, I told you all, the spiritual path, the path of knowledge, the great work is painful. Period. It's like being born. Trust me, if I'm in a womb and life has been comfortable, and all of a sudden, all of this water that's been surrounding me that I've been floating in, all comfortable as hell, gushes away, and now I'm being smothered by this fleshy thing, which is the body. And now I'm getting all of these pushes through this tiny little opening that smashes my nose into my face and turns my head into a my nice round head into more of a shape of an egg. And then when I get out, I get slapped in the ass. It's painful. Tell me, it's not painful. If you want to think about following doing the great works, following the path, it's like giving birth, and which you are. You're going to rebirth into the realm of light, and it's going to be painful, and it's going to be uncomfortable. There's just remember, nothing changes in this world without an upheaval. Nothing does. Nothing at all. But once you get to the other side of the veil, I'm going to tell you, a lot of the confusion, fears, etc. are going to be burnt away, and you're really not going to experience them anymore. It's really worth going to the other side. So anyways, let me finish my dream, and then I'll answer some of the other questions we got. So I wake up in the dream, and I'm having now a vision, or a real dream, or I'm really there, however you want to term it. And I remember I was really small at the time, almost like the size of like a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. And there was a male figure standing next to me. I never looked at his face. And he walked me up to a girl. And I remember I was kind of like in a zombie state. I was awake, but best way to put it was like I was sedated. Okay, I was well aware of what was going on around me. Well, it was more like I was sedated, shuffled, walking, like I was on Prozac. So we walk up to this female entity, and he said something like him. And remember, I talked about this. When these higher entities communicate, they'll say a word or two, and they send a knowing at the same time. So it only really takes a word or two. And I remember she squatted down, and she looked at me right in the eyes. And I could feel her focus on me. Whenever you focus on something, you're trying to read them or connect to them or connect to their reality. And I remember I looked back at her, and I could see her clearly. I could still see her clearly to this day, just like I'm looking at a picture. And she kind of smiled, stood up, and looked at the guy, and she said, "I'll take him." And that was the end of the dream. I woke up. Now here's what's funny. Remember, don't even assume when you're doing visions, don't assume that you figured out anything that you're learning until later on. Okay? Try not to label anything that you possibly can. If you notice, I try really hard not to do that. I mean, I can get all religious or whatever. I mean, I could start talking Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Thoth, Hermes, and use that paradigm if I want, but I don't want to do that because there is a pitfall to that. And here's what it is. I thought that, and especially since I was starting to have dreams with her after that, where she was teaching me things, I thought she meant that she was going to take me as a student. No, what it was, and I didn't find this out until I made it to the other side of the veil, was she was going to be my conductor. What she meant was she was going to prepare me and take me across the veil. Get it? I'll take him. She was saying, I'll take him across the veil. And again, I didn't hear the communication between the male entity that was standing next to me and her. I didn't hear the whole communication. So, and all I heard her say was, "I'll take him." So what am I going to assume? I thought she was saying, "I'll take him as a student." But yeah, it's like, it was probably 30 years later when I was contemplating that encounter that I had with this entity, that it dawned on me, wait a minute. She meant, I'll take him across the barrier. I'll take him across the veil. So, remember, and again, and this kind of falls back to what Gilman was talking about. Don't assume that they're evil entities, until later on. You're thinking that's what they are now. Wait until your perspective changes and you've seen more. And then look into the past. And if you want, go ahead and lightly put a label on it, but make sure to understand that adaptability is one of the keystones of a practitioner. If you're going to be a practitioner, you have to learn how to be mentally nimble, be able to change your stance and shift your paradigm, which kind of answers Colin's question that he asked on one of my videos and comments. It's the only way to make the path easier. It's the only way. To where maybe you can use it with the mundane world and follow the spiritual path. The only way to make it easier is to just don't hang on to your paradigm so hard. Try not to. Be aware of what you're thinking. Try to be centered. The more centered you are, the less the swings when you're having an epiphany or an energy shift, or you're growing, that growth spurt. Let's call it a growth spurt. The less that growth spurt is going to hurt, and the less severe that it's going to be. Growth spurts aren't comfortable. I'm going to tell you right now, people. Everybody likes to talk about how the path is just beautiful and roses and all of these wonderful entities that you see along the way, with harps and singing, and yes, pick up that New Age book again. But it's really not. It's not comfortable. But it is worth the work. It really is the great work. Steve says, my bad, I thought that only happens in this realm. Okay, kind of talked about that. Steve says he kind of understands what I'm saying somewhat. It's one of those things where you have to understand. Here, let me try another way to explain this. Within the realm of reality, in this reality that we're in, okay? For consciousness to exist, you have to have a subject and an object, okay? This is where duality comes from. Because you cannot have an object without a subject, can you? And you can't have a subject without an object. There has to be something to focus on. In other words, a duality for consciousness to arise. Now, if you have to, go ahead and meditate on that. In fact, I would recommend all of you meditate on that. It's called dependent arising. One thing is dependent on another, which is dependent on another. So, for most of what occurs, you're going to need the duality, a male and a female aspect. What you're thinking of, Steve, is that the other side of the barrier, past the veil, past the light, is the barrier. And on the other side of the barrier, if you follow Hermeticism or Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, or if you follow Taoism, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn calls it chaos. Beyond that is chaos. The Taoism calls it the Tao. And yeah, it is somewhat chaotic. I've seen it. I'll describe it one of these days. I briefly saw it. And by the way, the J tablet describes it pretty well. It actually is a door that opens up into chaos. It's actually a door. And I didn't know it, by the way. I had the vision before I read that. So it's just, for those that, find that kind of interesting, it is actually a door that opens up into chaos. Or the Tao, whatever you want to call it. Then use dreams. Remember your dreams. It'll come to you in your dreams. Gilman says, I can't meditate because my mind won't ever be quiet. Well, one, practice at stopping the internal chatter that I taught you, that I did that video on. That will stop it. The other is just use dreams. Dreams is our natural way to connect to the other entities. But guess what? We were told that they're not real, they're not important, so we just started to forget them. And also, if we had nightmares, we wanted to what? Stop having dreams so we wouldn't have nightmares. Ever helpful? Our ego got in the way and blocked us from remembering our dreams. I'll do a video on how to remember dreams. I'll do a video on it. But yeah, it happens naturally, guys. I mean, all you got to do is just reconnect to your dreams, and you're going to reconnect to your higher self, and you're going to connect to those entities on the other side. It's natural. We were actually made, designed in such a way that that's how we're supposed to make connection to the spiritual. It's just we, on purpose, broke that connection. Because when we had a nightmare, Mom and Dad said, oh, it's a bad dream. It's nothing. It's not real. So since it was a waste of time and not real, best to just what? forget them. And we start to lose our connection, which means it makes it harder and harder for us to remember our dreams. All right, Christopher says, we're almost done here too. I'm going to go about another 5-10 minutes. Christopher says, can you recommend things to say or do in order to test an entity's motives, good or evil persuasion? Okay, I know you obviously have been studying Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I'm going to guess on that. One is you talk about the lesser vanishing ritual one, so. And I do know that when you're doing an evocation or an invocation, you want to test the motives of an entity. Okay. I'm having a second here to put my thoughts together. Give me a second. All right, okay. Let's say that you get really good at Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And yes, I believe with practice people can. There's a difference between invocation and evocation. And if you guys want to look it up and study it, it's an important distinction that people tend to interchange, which shouldn't be interchanged. But let's say you evoke a spirit, and it's in front of you. The first thing I'm going to tell you is, if you can evoke it, all right, it's not powerful enough to be able to do anything. In fact, you're more powerful than it is. Odds are good it's coming from the realm of darkness, which means that its perception of reality is going to be somewhat limited. Okay? If it's good or evil, remember, good and evil is relative to what we want. If something gives us what we want, then it's good. If something takes away what we want or keeps us from what we want, it's evil. Period. It's as simple as that. This is how governments and religions, etc., have been able to control us. As what they have is been able to change what it is that we want. If they can change what we want, then they're going to change the definition of good and evil. Period. For instance, since terrorists are evil... Ooh, I'll bet you I just got censored. Since certain groups are doing this and that, this makes them evil. Since they are now evil, we can now destroy them all. Change the perception of what good and evil is. Because this other group is going to take away something you have that you want. So it's got to be evil. Is this making more sense? A lot of times, and you've heard me even say this, and it's the same on if you evoke an entity, Collins. It's the same as meeting an entity on the other side. You've heard me say that angels are not nice. Okay, they're not. They're not nice. But that's only at that particular time that you're encountering them. Because odds are good they're going to be counter to what you believe that you want. Although this angel, if you want to, again, using the term angel, I'll describe what an angel is one of these times. I've met a few. I'm not going to say I've met a bunch, but I have met a few. This angel, or this entity, what its purpose is to make you grow. It doesn't really care what you want. It can see what you actually need. And we all know the saying, what we need can often be the opposite of what we want. Or if you ask of God of something, let's go ahead and personalize God if you want to, or the Creator, or if you want to say the collective unconscious, whatever terminology that you want to use. If you ask it for something, be aware that it will often give you what you need, which may not be what you want. As a matter of fact, I'll do one on manifesting and creating at some time or another. It really explains a lot along that line. So, I'm probably not answering your question because it really can't be answered. Because if it does something of an evil nature, it could actually be a good entity wanting to help you, but you not realizing that it's helping you. Is that making more sense, Collins? got to give them about 5 to 15 seconds to answer. But again, I will point out, once again, you have a much better ability to find something out or to change reality in a way that you can change it as long as it's following the laws of reality. Say something you want to create or you want to manifest. You actually have more power than any entity does in doing it because it's your life. And you can do it. You can get it as long as you stay within the laws of the cosmic laws or the laws of karma or the laws of reality, whatever you want to term it. You can't break the laws of reality. It's not going to happen. You know, one is, like I said, I discussed that about the Dharma. If an entity wants to change your destiny in an evil way or whatever, okay, for selfish reasons, it's not going to be able to do it. It can't. Those guardians will be here like that, dude. I mean, the managers, they're going to be on it. They will sense, let's use a little bit of the Jedi here. They will sense a disturbance in the Force. And they're going to find that disturbance real quick. And they're going to find out what it is. And really, those guys are tough, man. anything that's stuck within the realm of darkness, okay, can't beat them. They just can't. They're not going to. And again, if for whatever reason that manager or guardian, whatever you want to call it, that manager can't take it on its own, it's going to call for help. And it can call people that are bigger and badder than it is to help. It can't. Christopher says, fair enough, which means I probably didn't answer his question to the satisfaction. If you want, Christopher, write it out, put it in an email and send it to me. And I'll see if I can't get a little bit clearer. Remember, the more clear and concise your question, the more clear and concise your answer. That was kind of open-ended question. Can you recommend things to say or do in order to test an entity's motives and good or evil persuasions? It's kind of a broad question, which means that you're going to get what? A broad answer. All right, I'll do one more question and then I got to go. I'll give it 15 seconds, pop one out. In fact, while we're waiting for Gilman, I'll give him the beginning on how to start to remembering dreams. Set your alarm clock 30 minutes earlier than you normally do. Then what I want you to do is get up, go to the bathroom, do whatever, okay? Just get up for a little while. Then go back to bed in a sitting up position. And I want you to try to watch yourself fall asleep. Watch your mind fall asleep. When you start to fall asleep, it'll be like a quick vision that will probably snap you back out of the dream state. But since it's so fast, it'll start training your mind to remember it. You're going to be able to remember what you saw. And with practice, and again, I'll go into more detail in a video at some time or another. I'll go into more detail. But it's the beginning steps on doing it. And it's the easiest, best way to do it. And you'll probably often just think that you were daydreaming. No, actually you were dreaming. The point of the matter is you have to take the dream memory, which resides in your dream body, and pull it into the physical as you wake up. And this is just a quick, lesson on it. So if it's the middle of the night and I have a dream that wakes me up and I remember it vividly. In fact, you probably do when you first wake up, but you forget as you wake up. You have to keep that dream in your mind as you go through the process of waking up. If you can keep that dream in your mind, you'll pull it into your physical body. It's a really powerful technique. So again, the easiest way is get up 30 minutes early. If you want, set your alarm clock. Once you go back to bed, set your alarm clock to go off in 5 minutes. That way you're not going too deep into sleep and it's easier to remember. And that's if you don't automatically pull yourself out. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. Guys, put those questions in comments. It's the only way that I know what videos that I need to do. So make sure to put those questions in comments. I'm John Masters, and thanks for coming.